Which one of these two teams, the Jets getting Reddick, having already traded for Devontae Adams, having already fired Robert Saleh, and the Dolphins getting Tua back? I'm not saying you have to take either of them seriously, but if you had to rank one ahead of the other, which one would you at least have like, if you're the Bills and you're looking over your shoulder a little bit, maybe you have like binoculars looking in the rearview mirror, but which one is closer to you than the other one?
So the real answer is neither, but if I have to pick one,
I guess I could throw the 1-6 Patriots in there too. I mean, why not? It's one
yeah,
game separating them in the win column, but
it's 1-6 Patriots, and technically they have 2 games against the Bills rather than one like the others do. But I will not pick the Patriots. Patriots were up 10-0 in a game that they easily should have been able not to lose by 25 or whatever it ended up being with that last score that is going to be burnt in my brain for 24 hours for reasons. Yeah, it's not the Patriots. I would honestly, so I have serious doubts on the Tua situation. I think that the talk got so real with Tua and his playing future and things like that, that it's hard for me to believe that it won't be in any portion of his mind as he's playing. And that just sounds like a distracted player through the process. And if there's one individual who just needs to be in the zone, in the game kind of deal, that would be Tua, because if any timing's off, Tua is not exactly someone that's going to beat you with arm strength or just physical raw talent. So just for the sake that I believe the Jets roster is better overall as well, I'm going to go with the Jets, and they're just continuing to bolster. But I think lesson learned in the kind of the key point of this is Jets went out and got the marquee trade piece this past week. And of course, a lot of the rave things where the Jets are back and the hype was there, and you had Greeny on McAfee show wearing his Rodgers jersey after the news and being all excited about it. Is Hassan Reddick all of a sudden going to come in here and change the look of the Jets defense, which has been below their standards pretty considerably, considering how high their standards have been these past few seasons? No. And then the impact of Devontae Adams, I mean, he had 3 catches for 30 yards in the first half, and then he was held with 0 catches, catchless in the second half. And the Jets offense kind of just kept stalling out, and it just wasn't working. Now, Steelers are a great defense. It's Steelers. You can't be a Steelers team without a great defense. And there's that to be said. But overall, I just question either of them being really impactful down the line, where I know the Dolphins will fold once the weather turns and the games get tougher and tighter, and you need to kind of have a little bit more of a smash physical grind nature to yourself. And then with the Jets, it just feels like the Jets are already running out of steam, Josh. I have no other way of putting it, where you're in October and you're already running out of steam. It doesn't feel like Rodgers is going to be able to put together an entire season physically at times. And I question if any of it's going to work in the end. So closer to the Bills, if I have to pick one, the Jets. But overall, the threat level is very minimal in my eyes at this point. I just think that the schedules get tougher for them. And on top of it, the Bills already won the more difficult game among both of those teams that are more of a threat, that I just don't see where the threat ultimately lay with the Bills in the division sake.
Yeah, for either one of these teams to catch the Bills, they'll have to win in Orchard Park. Like, they have to get that one back for sure, with as much ground as they're behind right now. The Jets still have to play the Texans. They got to play at Buffalo. They need to play Seattle, the Rams. I think their schedule is a little softer than the Dolphins. The Dolphins have the Cardinals next week. The big thing will be is if Tua plays or not. That they get the Cardinals on short rest, and then the Cardinals travel. That's not ideal, but still, I mean, the Cardinals are a weird team. They show up well. And then the next week they play Buffalo, then they go to LA. But then you look at the rest of their schedule, they have to go to Green Bay. They have to go to Houston. I mean, this is where they're dead. They go to Houston, and then they also have to play the 49ers. Then they play the Browns in Cleveland, which for a lot of us was like, well, that's a laugher. If we're being honest, now that Jameis Winston is probably going to be quarterback, since the 2 guys ahead of him got hurt, that Browns roster is pretty good. They could beat the Dolphins. And then they also have to play each other twice. So
yeah,
as far as the Jets and Dolphins go. So I'm not living any kind of AFC East fear bunker, but I'd probably give a slight edge to the Dolphins just because I respect what they have there, where I feel like the Jets are just desperately grasping at straws. Like, we're going to fire our coach, look for a boost. Oh, that didn't happen. We're going to trade for Devontae Adams, look for a boost. Oh, that didn't happen. We got 15 points and got blown out by Russell Wilson. It feels like that's a situation that could implode. Maybe not, but I haven't seen anything out of Rodgers where I at least think the Dolphins have a chance to be really good on offense when they get Tua back, and maybe that'll count for something.